So now we have some changing demographics that we have to contend with, and this is also a serious slide. We have an aging population, and you can see one right here. And we have a lot of money, except if you're buying land for condos, then you don't have any money. Then there's second home choices, you got retirement, and seriously, in retirement these days, in the old days, people retired like our parents, and they all had to sell their house in Chicago and move to Florida. Here, because of the affluency of the generation that's coming along, you can retire and you can live in Chicago in the same place at the same time. And I would say a real majority of people buying in the heritage and the legacy do that. They're selling their beautiful homes somewhere in the North Shore or the like, and they're buying condominium for 5-6 months a year, and then because they want to be near the kids and the grandkids and this beautiful city we have in Millennium Park, by the way, Ed. And then they also buy a place somewhere else. So we have changing demographics of families, a higher percentage of single-head household family, young professionals, growing demand from professional women. This represents a very high percentage of people who buy in our buildings, and I could ask Andy, is it 10% of the units at least that are single women? If not 15. And the desire for a lifestyle. We also argue that you're making a real lifestyle change, that when you decide to move downtown, it's not just shelter. I mean, you've decided, the amount of kids are in college, the dog died, let's move downtown. And if you got less than a 30-pound dog, you can move downtown with the dog too. And then we have a lot of cultural diversity going on. So it's a matter of choice. Economic conditions, continued low interest rates. Another thing, they talk about interest rates, but I mean, most of us are aware that mortgage rates have declined every month for the last 7 months. And, people don't, you hear all this drama about, and I could go into a long question about flat yield curves and, forward rates and all the rest of it, and BSU like I'm being, anyway, mortgage rates have gone down, and they've gone down 6 or 7 months in a row. There's still a demand today for at least 2,000 to 3,000 units, and if you think back to that earlier PowerPoint, there's only 5,000 units in inventory, so there's less than a 2-year supply of condos in a bad market, and there's barely 1-year supply in a good market, because we used to be selling 5,000 units a year. So depending on what market you're in, there's maybe 1-year inventory, and certainly not more than a 2-year inventory of condos. There's a little problem here that I have to bring up, and that's this whole thing of investor buyers. It's really unknown how big the is hangover the right word to use? How big the hangover is of units that are sold in our buildings that were bought to be resold, and those folks right now are renting them out or living in them or something. But we all do recognize that there's quite a few units in inventory or considered sold that would be quickly resold if the market were a little bit better. It is getting harder to build these buildings. The pre-sales required are now 50-60%. Location, I think, is much more critical today. If we're in a business of location, I fancy that, and now quite seriously, Millennium Park is the location you want to be at. I mean, there's just, truly nothing like it. And when people, another interesting thing about the way we sell condominiums is there are so few competitors for the legacy, and people do think about where they want to buy, that when they come to the building, if we can get them to the building, we have an incredible success rate. I think we convert 15% of our visitors to contract. That's as opposed to 1 or 2% in most other buildings, because first of all, it's actually not easy. If you come to our building, it isn't like you can walk around and go to 4 or 5 others. You've made the decision to come to the legacy. Once you've made that decision, we've got great salespeople that Andy works with, and we just hook you, and we don't let you out till you buy it. So only come if you want to buy. And a lot of question marks after interest rates, because there's two prevailing thoughts about interest rates. They're either going to go up or they're going to go down. And one of those thoughts is correct, And we're not sure which one it is, so buy now because rates are low right now. And then finally, we talked about investor buyers a little bit. So